Hey guys, Ashley coming in with a slightly new setup. We're trying a little different things here. So today I want to talk about why is alignment important to spiritual awakening. This is a buzzword in the spiritual community. Often it gets really lost in translation. And as we talk a ton about spiritual awakening here, I really wanted to emphasize why spiritual awakening can really kind of shift the game for you when you start looking at alignment. And when you can really start to bring into focus how alignment works with spiritual awakening, it can really shed a ton of light for your own healing journey. So let's dive in. Hey guys, it is Ashley from theawakenstate.net, and today we're all about alignment. So I want to bring into really a core focus here on why alignment is so important to our spiritual awakening journey. So over the years, let's just be real here. I've talked about alignment a lot, but I don't think I've quite emphasized why spiritual awakening and alignment are literally working in harmony together for our awakening journey and our path as a spiritual person. So I think it comes really like we can kind of, get lost with these buzz terms, and as a result, it can really dismiss our results. So before we dive in, if you like these videos, please hit like, subscribe for more weekly drops every Friday, and let's dive in. So when it comes to alignment, the number one thing I want to emphasize is what the heck is alignment? So if you don't know what alignment is, let me tell you. So last year or the year before, I created a video all about what is alignment. I'm going to drop that link down below for you so you can get more of an in-depth explanation of what is alignment. However, if you're just hanging out with me right now, let's just say firstly that alignment is all about activating the path of least resistance, okay? Repeat after me. Alignment is activating the pathway of least resistance. What is resistance? Resistance is resisting our natural desires. Resistance is literally negative emotion resisting what we want. So resistance is nothing more than your deflection or refusal to receive in ultimately what you desire. So when it comes to really understanding alignment, we have to kind of go a little bit backwards here and be like, well, what is misalignment? What is the difference between being aligned versus misaligned? The short answer to this question is misalignment feels like a struggle. It feels heavy. It feels like you're resisting something. It feels low vibrational. It feels very negative. It feels like you're constantly going back and forth with yourself, pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. And as a result, you're gravitating towards the past and the future thinking if you're an Eckhart Tolle fan. So if you understand what I'm saying here, basically resistance is one of the key terms I like to use versus negative emotion. Why? Because negative emotion is a natural human experience. It's part of life. It's how we literally are a human being. We all have positive and negative emotions. Welcome to polarity. Okay, so when you understand that we all have negative and positive emotions, this makes it more simple to understand, okay? So when you think about polarity, we have positive, negative. We have negative charge, positive charge. Back to science class. So in that same regard, alignment versus misalignment are two different conversations going on in our body. So we have misalignment, which feels negative charge. It feels heavy. It feels like a struggle. It feels completely misaligned from who we actually are. And then we have alignment on the opposite spectrum, which is all about that positive charge. It's all about that harmonic resonance in our bodies vibrationally. So it feels harmonic in our lives. So we're talking more positive emotion, and we feel more good. We feel aligned with who we are as a person. So as a result, we feel more authentic with who we are. So when it comes to understanding misalignment, it often feels the opposite. It feels like a push, a struggle. It feels like justification. And really, a lot of the time when we're misaligned, it can bring up a ton of ascension symptoms. And that's what I really want to talk about today. So what I've noticed here is over the years, I've been on the awakening path since 2011. So we're looking at 11 years now, going on 12, I think. Oh my God. So I've been around. I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. I used to be a free mentor. I used to coach tons and tons and tons of people. And now I'm a paid mentor and a paid coach, and I'm still hearing the same conversations. So basically, I've seen and heard a lot. And one of the hugest things I see is one of the hugest things you have to understand is that the signs of ascension and ascension symptoms and signs of spiritual awakening, a lot of that is misalignment because it's bringing up what we need to heal and release so we can be on the other side of that, our authentic selves, more in tune with intuition, with higher self, with higher consciousness, with our natural alignment. So when it comes to understanding the difference between alignment and misalignment on the pathway of spiritual awakening, there is a huge difference because it shows us so much more about who we are as a person. So, for example, what I want you to think about here is when it comes to alignment, we are more in tune with our authentic self, our higher self, and our intuition. And alignment on the spiritual awakening path will feel more like we're stepping into our purpose. We'll be creating more ease and flow in higher vibrational relationships in our life. And when we feel misaligned in our spiritual awakening path, it will often feel the opposite. It'll feel like we're struggling to get by. It'll feel like we are attracting lower vibrational relationships and we're trying to figure out how to navigate through that. It will feel like ascension symptoms are coming up and kind of wreaking havoc on our life. And it may even be hard to manage, such as, overactive empathy, super overthinking, feeling hypersensitivity where you feel like almost like claustrophobic in your body. I totally know what that feels like. And as a result, it just kind of feels like everything's thrown at you. This is all signs of misalignment on the spiritual awakening path because what's happening is when we go through a spiritual awakening, it's like everything is suddenly turned on. And as a result, all that was laying dormant, all of those spiritual abilities, all of that spiritual insight that tapped in and tuned on to your intuition kind of feeling where you're really in alignment with, how do I want to put this? It's like you have become more aware of your more intuitive nature. And I talked a lot about this on the podcast in one of the first episodes. Stop suppressing your spiritual power. That's a really good one for going in depth on that topic. But what I want to say here is it's really about seeing that when you first spiritually awaken, everything that was laying dormant, like mostly our higher chakras, and we have all of this awareness suddenly like whoosh and come online. And it's like we're driving on a highway and suddenly we forgot how to drive and we have to figure out how to navigate right now in this second, or bad things could happen because we need to be in control of our intuition, of our thoughts. And as a result, all this information starts coming online and we don't know how to process it. We don't know how to understand ourselves. We don't know what is going on. We suddenly have intuitive insight out of nowhere. We suddenly have all of this hypersensitivity where I'm suddenly feeling energy for the first time. I'm suddenly feeling someone else's emotions for the first time. I'm suddenly feeling all of this out of nowhere. It caused so much sensory overload and overwhelm because all of that's coming up. And a lot of it's coming up so that we can heal it, so we can clear it, so we can let go of those old stories, those old lower vibrational stories in our body. And as a result, we find ourselves so much more aware of what is going on. So what I inevitably learned is that ascension symptoms are a byproduct of refusing to let go. And what I've learned from that is all of that misalignment starts to come online because you're like battling out two different selves. And we have the old identity that was very more third dimensional, you know, really kind of navigating that whole like ego versus soul, and like where we're in this mentality of like dualistic thinking. And what happens is this new identity wants to come on board, and it wants to think more of a unity consciousness where past, present, and future are coexisting as one, whereas before we were only seeing past and future. And as a result from that, we start having radical shifts in awareness on what needs to be healed, what needs to be changed, why we're experiencing ascension symptoms. And inevitably what occurs is all this stuff starts rising to the surface to be let go. And what happens is now we're stuck in these misaligned patterns, and we're conscious of them, and at the same time we're navigating our symptoms and how they're showing up for you. So like here's a really good example. So I really suffered strongly from overactive empathy. And this was really prevalent in at least the first 2 to 3 years of my spiritual awakening. And what I learned to do is I learned how to manage my energy. And through that process, what I really discovered is a lot of it felt like a cross between a misaligned sacral chakra from the emotional part, and it also felt like a misaligned heart chakra because my boundaries were all over the place. And because I wasn't grounded. And in terms of grounding, I mean, I wasn't grounded in the boundaries between my energy versus someone else's energy. And as a result, I kept absorbing everyone else's energy and taking in their emotions as my emotions. And, you know, this is basically what being an empath is all about. What I learned to do is establish proper boundaries with myself vibrationally through learning energy management. And as a result from that, I started to learn a ton about those were just misaligned patterns due to basically not learning how to regulate my emotions. And also because I was energetically sensitive. And because I've always had that hypersensitivity and I never knew how to control it, that became this misaligned pattern that kept coming up for me to be healed and cleared. And until I figured out, oh, I need boundaries. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to understand that, you know, I can control this. I don't have to suffer from this. I can learn that I am the one controlling my ship. No one else needs to control my energy ship. So as a result from that, I learned the boundaries of creating the aligned symptom. So the symptoms naturally dissipated. And as a result, I started to live more from an aligned place with my overactive empathy. I no longer have overactive empathy. I mean, I used to have crazy things happen where like I would go to a concert hall and I would feel everybody, and I didn't know how to control that, and it felt very claustrophobic and weird in my body. But the more I learned how to manage my energy and kind of shift those misaligned symptoms, I started to have different results. And then I could suddenly go to a concert. I could go to a concert again and be okay. And what I learned from that is inevitably that a lot of the things that are coming up for us in terms of those symptoms are just misalignment. And that misalignment is essentially a huge piece of the puzzle because it shows us so much more about what we need to heal and change. Whereas when we take those symptoms and we start changing them into a place of alignment, we can start to radically heal ourselves from the inside out. And as a result from that, we can start to take what was overactive empathy And then now all of a sudden we have energy boundaries and energy management where we don't experience that anymore. And as a result, we have regulated our emotions, our nervous system. We feel safe in our bodies. We feel tapped into our intuition. And as a result, we feel more confidence and flow and a natural sense of ease or alignment. And that activating the path of least resistance. So as a result from that, in my spiritual awakening journey, I easily learned that what was coming up for me was misaligned patterns. And because of that, it became so much easier to pinpoint how the symptoms were behaving in my body. And what I began to notice is the more that things started to come up for me, if I paid attention and looked at what was going on, like what misaligned symptoms are coming up, and then I traced it back to what I needed to heal, the journey started to become so much easier to act and be from an aligned state of consciousness. And that's truly what I've experienced. Why is alignment important for spiritual awakening? Alignment is important to spiritual awakening because it shows us how we can dismantle the misaligned symptoms in our body and transform them into alignment. It shows us so much more about how we can personally enter a state of personal empowerment and strengthen our intuition by learning about those misaligned symptoms and seeing the ascension symptoms for what they are, which is misalignment. It's misalignment vibrationally, this misalignment energetically, and even misalignment physically. Because at the end of the day, when we feel crappy and we have physical symptoms show up and we have feelings of claustrophobia, like all of that stuff is discomfort. And discomfort is often a sign that you're misaligned. 100%. When you feel discomfort and heavy and negative and more lower vibrational in your body, it is almost always a sign that you are misaligned. And it's important to understand what is the difference between misalignment versus alignment so that you can personally understand how to bring that awareness back to your spiritual awakening. And then look at, well, shit, I'm experiencing this symptom of overactive empathy. Okay, what do I need to do about that? Okay, establish better boundaries and, remember my energy management skills. Okay, good. Now I can move back into alignment. It's like, oh shit, something came up in my heart chakra. What do I got to do? Work on my self-worth. All right, move back into alignment. This is how easy it can be when you're aware of what is the difference. So I hope this helped shed a ton of light for you. I would love to know your thoughts about this and how this lands for you in the comments. Please drop those down below. I will leave a link down below for you about all of the latest information about the Alignment Reset, which is opening its doors very shortly. The 21-day Alignment Reset Challenge is all about learning how you can personally activate your own sense of alignment, how you can get over misaligned patterns in your nervous system, how can you create more safety in the body so you feel secure with your manifestations, and inevitably it's about strengthening your intuition so you embrace a soul-aligned life. All right, I love you.